Hello, friends. Welcome in to Hold My Banner. If you love this show, make sure you check out Foxborough Rush, available on Nessun as well. George Malecki and I get you ready for the Patriots draft. Just days away. What will they do at number 4 overall? Check it out. Foxborough Rush can be found on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get all your podcasts. Here we go. We're holding banners around here. Banner 19. Loading! Travis Thomas here with the walking, talking, triple-double Ante Campbell. Welcome all to Hold My Banner. How you doing, Poppy?
I'm doing great, 2Ts. I'm excited to talk all this hoops that we got to talk today. It's a hoop-heavy episode. No holds barred,
It's what we do.
So,
no hoops barred.
No hoops
It's what
barred.
we do.
Yes,
now,
sir.
Before we get into the festivities, we must say, on the next Hold My Banner day, our guy, family to the program.
Yes, sir.
La Familia. D. Brown.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait. Let's clap it up for D. Brown. One of the all-time great C's joins us. We always tell this story. We won't tell it with him on the next Hold My Banner, so we'll do it quickly now. But D, great star presence here on Hold My Banner. We had such a fun time interviewing him. And then was it days or like a week later, we saw him at the Tradition here in Boston and ran up on him. Ran up on him hard. Now, Ante's a walking, talking triple-double. So he's a big man. I'm no slouch. I'm 6'3". So we ran up on D, and he was like, hold up now. What's going on? We told him who we were, and it was all love. And so he's coming back on the program just to break down the playoffs, share some playoff memories with us. So that's coming on the next Hold My Banner. But first, let's talk now, because now that the NBA regular season has come and gone, Ante. It's award season.
It is.
And so we're looking at all these awards in the NBA, and I want to go through each of them with you. Let's start with Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Now, I said this on this show, and I'm really upset with myself that I didn't actually bet it, because as you know, it all comes back to gambling.
Of course, with you.
But when we were looking at Rookie of the Year odds, if you remember, I'm a Zach Edey guy.
You are.
But I said my sleeper would be Stephon Castle, who I forget even what the price was at the time. It might have been like 6 or 7 to 1. And I thought, man, with Wemby, that team, I feel like he could probably make some noise there. He felt very pro-ready to me, not really like a project type of player, plug and play. Not that he's not going to get better, Tay, but I just felt like he would be pro-ready and be able to stand up to an NBA schedule of 82 games. You look up, he played in all 82. He was consistent across the board. I'm going Stephon Castle. I just wish I had bet it, but I like his consistency. He started off a little bit slow, but as the season went on, he got really good, and he stayed there. That's the difference. There's a lot of guys who have a good case, but I think his consistency is what puts him on the level of Rookie of the Year, at least in my mind. What do you say?
I won't talk about the guy who I thought was going to win. We'll talk about that in a different episode. But, I'm with you. I'm lockstep with you. Stephon Castle should be Rookie of the Year this year. There are some other names flowing out, one of them being Zachary Richardson, the number 1 pick in this last year's draft. And he deserves the respect. But to give you the numbers, because you know I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. 14.7 points per game for Castle, 4.1 assists per game. Not super efficient, which was the one knock that he had. Consistency, like you said, being there, being an Iron Man, playing all 82 games, especially on a team that we saw had a lot of injury issues. Him and Chris Paul, shout out to both of them for playing all 82 actually this year. But he was a ball hawk on the defensive end. He ended up challenging every single top player on the perimeter in every single game. He guarded Curry. He guarded Damian Lillard. He guarded Ja Morant. He took on that challenge every single night, which other rookies didn't do. They just didn't do. They had the opportunities to do so, and they didn't do it. So shout out to him for that, and also shout out to him for continuing to improve his game in the pick and roll, which is another shout out to Chris Paul and his veteran leadership that he has over this guy, Castle. It's been a growing experience. In every single game, you can see that he's gotten better and better and better, and that's what you expect for a guy who's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I tell you what, man, they got a lot of talent there in San Antonio.
They do.
Don't mess around and let them get Cooper Flag. Oh, my God, because it is possible.
It is.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it is possible.
It is possible, but we'll see how the beats fall or whatever, the ping pong ball.
We'll see. I still think that's a good spot for Mike Malone, depending on Pop's health and what happens.
He'll probably be assistant next year over there or something like that.
All right, let's go Coach of the Year while we're talking about coaches. I have to imagine you know where I'm going here. Now, obviously, my gut tells me Kenny Atkinson will get it.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it a lot on Hold My Banner. I didn't love the move of getting rid of Bickerstaff there in Cleveland. But then we learned there could have been some issues there with Donovan Mitchell and Bickerstaff.
And it's looked like it's worked out. You know
it has
I mean?
worked. And we didn't like how the Bickerstaff side of things ended, but we both liked the hire of Atkinson. Everyone knows he can coach.
100%.
My gut is 1 seed in the East. Listen, the Cavs have gone wire to wire. They deserve respect. They came out of the gates hot and they sustained it.
Yeah.
I think Atkinson wins it. However, my coach of the year, it's got to be Ime Udoka. I cannot for the life of me. This guy goes to Houston. I hate how it ended here in Boston, but he did it to himself.
Yeah, and it's fair. And it's fair. What you're about to say is fair. Yes.
So he goes to Houston. Overnight, they were a mess. He goes to Houston overnight. All of a sudden, they're tougher. Mm-hmm. They're playing defense. They damn near made the playoffs last season. Mm-hmm. Now, this season, they come out and they're a 2 seed.
Yeah.
And look,
in a tough West.
In a tough West. And I hate right now how their playoff lineage looks, how the path to the finals looks for them. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I would not be shocked if they make it to the finals. So I think this guy deserves his flowers. He's not going to get Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, he has done the best coaching job in this league.
And that's fair. And once again, I'm with you. I think Atkinson is going to run away with this award just because no one expected them to be the best team in the East. They probably should have finished as the best team in the entire NBA, but the Thunder did what they did. And Mark Daigneault deserves his credit. We know that he probably won't win this award, but he does deserve credit for being a great coach. My coach of the year, though, is Ty Lue. And the reason that I'm giving Ty Lue coach of the year is because during our preview for the season, none of us thought the Clippers were going to be anything. We thought it was over.
Yeah.
Paul George was leaving. Kawhi Leonard played 37 games this year. Yep. and we didn't even expect him to play that. But even if he didn't play that, this was a team that was competing without Kawhi or with Kawhi.
That's right.
They're the 5 seed once again in a tough Western Conference. Norman Powell is playing at an all-star level this late into his career. And then they're 3rd in defensive rating. A team where you have James Harden and Ivica Zubac, who are great players on the offensive end, but defensively have been some guys that people have kind of questioned their effort and their ability on that end. And you have the 3rd best defensive rating in the entire NBA.
Yeah.
This is a job that Tyronn Lue has done a great job with this team, and he deserves a lot of credit and respect for it.
He's really a great coach, period.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think in hoop circles, he gets his flowers.
Yeah,
but I don't know if the casual fan, the way they look at a Popovich or someone like or a Spoelstra. Mm-hmm. Your casual fan knows who these people are.
Yeah.
I don't know if your casual fan really knows Ty Lue is a tremendous coach, but he really is, and he deserves his flowers for
100%.
that. Defensive Player of the Year. I may be a prisoner of the moment.
Okay.
I'm going to go Draymond. And part of it's your fault.
My fault?
Yeah, in a good way. The other night, he had a fantastic defensive sequence on James Harden. Mm-hmm. At the end of the game, Warriors-Clippers.
Yep.
And I think it was in regulation.
Yeah, the regulation
I watched
stop.
it with you.
Yeah.
And we were actually watching him. We were watching the defense. Not on James Harden, on Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Listen, he fouled Kawhi. Kawhi got by him. He fouled him quickly.
Yeah.
And then the next possession, Kawhi got it. He tried to go by him again. Draymond wasn't budging. Mm-hmm. And he held him to, even though Kawhi got a decent look.
It was a long 2.
It was a long 2. He settled for that too. And so I thought to myself then, man, I hate that I have to give this guy props, but I really do. And and I told this story on Boston Has Entered the Chat. I said, look, I can't stand Draymond Green.
Yeah.
It's one of my most hated players of all time in my life. Him and Bill Laimbeer are in the same category. That's how much I hate them, okay?
Yeah.
But I cannot deny, unlike Laimbeer, I cannot deny Draymond's contributions to that dynasty. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy, clutch shots, defense, one of the greatest passing power forwards ever.
Yeah.
I don't think that's debatable. I mean, the guy, he is a leader. He's a goon, but he's a leader too. He's the toughness of that franchise. I think Draymond Green is Defensive Player of the Year. I do.
I'm not rolling with Draymond. There's a lot of different names that floated into my head. Dyson Daniels was one of them.
Yeah.
Great barrier thief. I mean, he has a great all-time defensive nickname.
He does.
You know what I mean? Amin Thompson. We've talked about how elite he is as an athlete. Long, lengthy, gets in the passing lanes, anticipation, all the things that you want from a great perimeter defender. But in all of these awards, winning matters. You're talking about a guy who's in a playing game. I'm going to tell you about a guy who has a top 2 record in the entire NBA with Mobley. Yep. Evan Mobley should be Defensive Player of the Year this year. And it's based off of this and this alone. The improvement that he's made for the number 1 team on the offensive end and the defensive end has gave them the ability to do what they're doing night in and night out. He's second in the league in field goal percentage on shots defended within 5 feet of the rim. So up close to the basket, you're not getting a good shot off against him. Yeah. But he's also tied for 5th as a 7-footer in contested 3-point percentage. So he's on the perimeter contesting threes, but somehow still at the rim, protecting the rim at a high rate. This guy is doing it on the both ends, offense and defense, and he's also doing it on the perimeter and in the paint. You have to give him his credit. Evan Mobley should be Defensive Player of the Year.
Listen, I won't take that away from you. I will push back slightly on this, and I'm the last guy to ever defend the Warriors, but they're in a play-in game narrative is not fair because the West is loaded. They were 48 and 34.
It's recency bias, though. I just feel like
I said that.
And with Jimmy Butler joining the team, that gave him a little kick in the arse, as you like to say.
For sure. And I admitted I'm probably a prisoner of the moment. But 48 and 34 in the regular season, 7-3 in their last 10 games of the regular season. And since Jimmy Buckets has got there, they're winning games.
And it's not me saying that Draymond's not elite. He is elite. But we're talking about the elite of the elite. And when you're talking about a team who's the number 1 seed in the East versus a team who's in a play-in game, and you have a guy who's contesting perimeter shots and playing defense,
doing everything,
you have to give him that credit.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. All right, 6th man of the year. Ready for this? Pritchard next.
Yeah, I won't waste too much of your time.
What are we talking about?
I'll give you the stats just off of this. 1, he broke the record for threes in a season off the bench. Jeez. That's all you need to hear.
That's it.
That's all you need to hear.
This award was won by the All-Star break.
Yeah.
It was over.
He's been consistent all year, getting buckets. What more can you ask for? He's been locked in on defense, being a pest. This is everything that you ask for a backup point guard. For a 6-man, he's doing it. Payton Pritchard.
No doubt. All right, so most improved. I'm going to go Zubac here. I mean, you talked about the Clippers. Mm-hmm. He's always been a defensive monster.
Yeah.
But this year, his offensive uptick was there. I think Zubac, from what I've watched, when I watched him, and you talked about the injuries, well, you lose Paul George out, right?
Yeah.
Kawhi never plays. This guy's really stepped up. So is James Harden, but Zubac deserves his credit. He's my most improved.
Yeah.
Who's yours?
He's been a rebounding monster. I wouldn't necessarily say a defensive monster all the time. I'm going to give it to a guy that can't get it. This dude played like 53 games this season. Trey Murphy III should be the most improved because I'm tired of it being you don't have a guy that was like a high draft pick, but like you're seeing the Cade Cunninghams.
Yeah.
You're seeing guys like that as the most improved. Cade will probably end up walking away with this award, but
it should be. He just stayed healthy.
He's a first pick.
Right.
He should, you know what I mean? This is expected of him. Nothing was expected of Trey Murphy going into any year that he's been in the NBA. This dude was picked 17 in 2021. He had 2 40-point games against Denver and Boston. He had a plus 7 points per game. He had a plus 1.5 assists per game from last season, and he was still dropping 20 a game even when Zion was in the lineup. So when guys weren't in the lineup, when guys were out the lineup, he was giving you buckets either way. This guy deserved most improved. It's too bad he got hurt at the end of the season and couldn't get to the 65-game threshold.
Well, he's another one. He's got injury issues as well, but I'm with you. I think you made a great, compelling case for him. Clutch player of the year. You could go a lot of directions here. I have to go Jokic, and here's why. First of all, he's doing everything for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, averaging a triple-double as a big man's ridiculous.
He's got to get something.
He's got to get something. I don't think he's going to get MVP.
Right.
I don't think. I know there's a number of people out there defending that he should, and I get it, and we'll get to the MVP in a second.
Right.
But I got to give him something. So I'm going to go clutch player because literally he's doing everything for the Nuggets, and they are an absolute mess. A dumpster fire piece of trash as an organization this season. They are a mess.
Look, I told you that he has to get something, but this is not the something that I think he's going to get. I don't think he's going to get this at all. Actually, I think this is going to go to Anthony Edwards, which is kind of a dark horse. And I think he should get it, and I think he will end up getting it because he leads the league in clutch scoring with 156 points. The last 2 winners of this award led in that category. That's all you need to know. Every single time that the Timberwolves were in a clutch game, closing situation, it was give Ant the ball and he'll figure it out. And guess what? He figured it out.
He wants it.
So he doesn't have that staple moment, that game winner that everybody's looking for. But as far as, hey, we're down 2 with 2 minutes to go. We need a bucket. Ant was going to get it. And then he was going to get the bucket to put them up 3 and whatever else you needed. You know what I mean? He was putting games away early in that clutch time factor. So you have to give him credit for that because that is clutch as well as hitting game winners. He just doesn't have those this year. So it's going to Edwards.
Have you seen the clip going around? I guess it's from the Netflix show, but he's talking about how, you know, he'll go at LeBron, he'll go at whoever. And then what people are doing on the internet, I saw this on Twitter, they're splicing it to what LeBron said, which is LeBron is like, well, I'll retire when I see someone out there that could do the things that I do on every night. So they're creating this beef for them in the postseason, which I can't. That series is going to be electric. I cannot wait to see Ant and LeBron go at it. All right. So you said Jokic is not clutch player.
Yes.
Do you have Jokic as MVP? Because I'm going to tell you, I got to go SGA. Although I do get, it's why he has 3 MVPs already. Jokic, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The numbers are insane.
First center to average a triple-double.
What are you supposed to do with that? How is that not an MVP?
100%.
However, as I mentioned, his team's a complete S show this season.
Yes.
And SGA is the best player on the best team.
Yeah.
And he has done nothing to lose the award. You with me?
Right.
Jokic has done enough to win it, no doubt.
Yeah.
But SGA has not done enough to lose it. He's putting up numbers too. They're not as eye-popping as Jokic across the board, filling up the box score. But what SGA has done from a scoring standpoint has been consistent and high-end and elite. Yeah. I think it's SGA, bro.
Here's the thing. What I'm going to say is you can't get a coach fired and be MVP of the league.
That's right.
Whether, you know, it was his fault or whoever takes the blame for it, doesn't matter. Your head coach got fired. You can't be MVP of the league.
Amen.
SGA, like you said, is the best player on the best team record-wise in the NBA, right? Winning matters. I already told you that. But I've told you before when we had this conversation, let the NBA in 50-point games. 40-point games, 30-point games, 20-point games. He's probably going to make an all-defensive team as well.
Yes.
He's shooting 57% from 2 as a guard.
These are video game numbers.
And he's only getting 9 free throws a game.
That's crazy.
This dude is MVP, and he pretty much ran away with it after Malone got fired.
Hey, I tell you what, though. SGA, he's got to show up in the postseason. We have seen Jokic win a title, right? SGA, this is your time. Yeah, Ante and I both believe you're going to get the MVP, but this is your time now in the postseason. MVPs are cool, but legends are born and made in the postseason. Speaking of which, playoff preview next. But first, want to hear all about Boston sports? Check out Nesson's Daily Sports Podcast. Boston has entered the chat. You too can enter the conversation by tweeting at us using the hashtag NessonChat or email the chat at Nesson.com. Boston has entered the chat is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, look, we just talked Jokic. We talked the Clippers. That's a 4-5 matchup out west.
Yeah.
How about that? Nuggets, Clippers in round 1. Get your popcorn ready. Who you got? Who you with, Tay?
Oh, man. You know, the thing about it is I gave Ty Lue his credit. I gave Jokic his credit a little bit in that last segment. But I'm going to roll with the Clippers in this one. And the reason that I'm going to roll with the Clippers in this series is because I am a true believer that defense wins in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this team, like I told you, is 3rd in defensive rating.
Yes.
James Harden while he's had issues in the playoffs in later rounds, right?
Yes.
Once we get to the Western Conference Finals and things of that nature, he's had his issues.
Yeah.
Early in the playoffs, he's been a great player for whatever team that he's been a part of.
Yeah.
This team is together. They have a great head coach. They're not worried about anybody being upset about what somebody said about them or playing what minutes or any of that stuff.
Yep.
They're locked in on the mission. We saw that in the game that you and I watched the end of the game together with against the Warriors. This team has been winning meaningful games late in the season, and I think they're going to win this series in 6, maybe 7. Maybe 7, but in 6.
I hate agreeing with you. So I'm going to agree, and then I'm going to start some Shaq with you.
Uh-oh.
All right, so I agree, Clippers. I'm taking them in 7. I think it does go 7.
Okay.
And I think a couple things are at play here. Everything you said's on point. I just think the coaching discrepancy now is
huge.
going to haunt the Nuggets.
Yeah, huge.
And the longer a series goes is really where it gets exposed. Mm-hmm. And so as we get into games 5, 6, 7, Ty Lue being the coach, the best coach on the floor, is really going to do the Nuggets in.
Yeah.
We've seen the Nuggets, lose games with Jokic putting up astronomical numbers. That's nothing new. So Jokic will do what he always does. I think the Joker will have a great series and keep the Nuggets in it. But I think in the end, this is going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to heart.
Yeah.
Dare I say it, I think the Clippers have a little more heart than the Nuggets, which ain't saying much, because this is where I'm going to start some Shaq. Because all you've done all year, before the season even started, in the offseason, in fact, you lied to the people watching Hold My Banner earlier in the first segment. I almost called you out on it, but I let it go. Okay. You said none of us thought the Clippers were going to do it. You're a liar. You said the Clippers were going to be viable. You thought they'd be a viable team. I told you then you were wrong.
Yeah.
You also thought the Suns, but that's another topic for another day. We can talk that later.
Yes.
But here they are. They're right here. Where are they? 5 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, fine. But you were right about that. Mm-hmm. But here's where you're wrong.
Oh.
I don't trust this Clippers team at all. They'll beat these soft, fragile
We're just
Nuggets.
talking about this series,
They'll
bro.
beat the soft, fragile Nuggets who don't even have a coach. And guess what's going to happen? The Thunder will sweep their arse in the next round. That's what's going to happen. So the Clippers' big picture suck. But for this series, fine, you were right.
Bro, here's the thing, all right? The wall, too, is a big part of what the Clippers are going to be doing when they're at home. That wall, dudes are shooting terrible from the free throw line. And I told you I would go to Intuit Dome this year, and I did. I went with my beautiful mother, and we had a great time watching the Utah Jazz against the Los Angeles Clippers. And when we were at that game, all I could keep staring at is how beautiful of an arena it was, how packed out Clippers fans were, how excited they were for their team to do well, even against the Jazz, who were lowly at the time when I went to the game.
Yeah.
They were still there. They were still rabid. They were still excited. That atmosphere in that arena is like a college arena. And I don't think people are expecting the monster that they're going to be walking to in the playoffs against the Clippers, not only defensively, but dealing with that LA crowd.
No, that's a great point. And by the way, this is why I brought up coaching and heart. Because if this goes 7, which I think it will, that game's going to be in Denver. But when you have a coaching advantage, Ante, and you have more heart, you're tougher, we'll say, than the other team, that's how you win a game 7 on the road. Does that make sense? You're right.
Yes.
Intuit Dome, forget it. You're not going to win any games there. But game 7, in my scenario, if it goes to Denver, you have to have the coaching advantage. You have to have the defensive advantage, the toughness advantage. Check for the Clippers. I just don't believe in them beyond that.
I do want to say, though, before we move on, that the Clippers are going into this with an 8-game win streak. They obviously, like I said, they've been rolling. They've been hot. But since firing Malone, the Nuggets have been on a 3-game win streak.
They have.
They've been winning. Now, we're going to see how long that kind of, new coach, new energy streak rolls. But they beat your healthy Rockets team.
They did.
In Houston. They beat the Grizzlies and they beat the Kings. All 3 teams who are playoff teams fighting for playoff position and stuff like that, except for the Rockets. They weren't fighting.
Rockets, they didn't.
They weren't fighting for playoff position. But they were healthy. They put out their real team in that final game of the season and they lost to the Nuggets. So I have to give them that kind of respect. That's why I say 6. You might be right about 7. All right, we can talk about the next game.
My Rockets. All right. We're just like, we're
not talking about the Rockets. We can talk about the next game.
Celtics in the finals. That's what my Rockets say. All right, here's the one in the East. I can't wait for this one either. You told me this would be a boring series. I disagree. Pacers, 4 seed. Bucks, 5 seed. Who you got?
Look, it's very simple. I am not rolling with the Bucks. We've heard about Damian Lillard. We got the news about him. He's going to be missing the first couple games or whatever of the playoffs. The start of the playoffs. With the blood clot issue that he's been dealing with in his calf. And, I hope that he's healthy and then he returns. And I do want to see him play. He is one of my favorite players to watch when he is healthy. But I just don't think that Giannis has enough by himself to get over the hump that this Pacers team has been on. First half of the season, I was right. I was like, this Pacers team sucks. They're not real. They're not this. They're not that. I was on that bandwagon. Second half of the season, it was Tyrese Halliburton flipping a switch. It was Pascal Siakam flipping a switch. And they've somehow figured it out now how to be that offensive team that they've been. They've made strides defensively. Rick Carlisle is an elite coach. I think he's an even better coach than Doc Rivers is. Sorry to Doc. But this is a series where I think the Pacers are walking out of this in 6 again. Yeah, Giannis can get 2, but that's about it. He's not walking out with this series.
You have never been more disrespectful.
He's not walking out with this series.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
He's not walking out with this series.
In your life.
You're lying if you think he's walking out with this series.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. The Pacers are a better team. Totality.
Yeah, 100%. Way better.
But you are insane if you think Giannis ain't good enough by his damn self to win a series. He absolutely is. First of all, he didn't even get a chance to play in the postseason last season. He was hurt. Now he's back. He's ticked off. Dame is a question mark. Here we go again with the Bucks. I told you. Some of me hopes you're right. I hope they get swept. And Giannis averages 50. And he goes, I got to get the hell out of Dodge because that's what he needs to do. Yeah. But this guy during the regular season had a case for MVP. 30 points, 12 boards a game, carried the team. I mean, Dame's in and out of the lineup any damn ways. Yeah. He's carried them already. Yeah. And here they are now. Listen, bro. I think I don't want to say a miracle, but the fact that they're a 5 seed, given everything they've gone through this year, is a testament to Giannis. I will take my chances betting on him, period. Much like the Clippers, I don't believe in them beyond this series, but I think they can beat the Pacers. Let me check that. I think he can beat the Pacers, not them.
Ain't no they.
Ain't no we. It's he.
Hey, I'm just letting you know right now, when they're forcing Giannis to load up and shoot threes, and then they're going to have freaking... He
hit some of them now.
Okay, and they're going to have Taurean Prince and Ryan Rollins out there in the starting lineup, out there ready to play meaningful playoff minutes and get baskets for them.
Oh, God.
It's going to be a struggle.
Carlisle's not dumb.
They can do that 4 times? 4 times?
Oh,
like, come on. I know Bobby Portis is back. I know KPJ's been doing well. I know Gary Trent. They have some stuff off the bench. AJ Green, they got shooters off the bench. I understand. But those starters are going to have to play real minutes. And we're going to see if they can really make some real plays without Dame out there. We're going to find out.
I don't love it. By the way, before we move on, let's have a Dame conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doctors. We just play it on Hold My Banner. However, let's look at both sides of the coin here.
Okay.
I mean, what does it mean to say he's going to miss the start of the playoffs? Is he missing the series? My gut tells me they would try to bring him in back end of the series, games 4, 5, 6, 7, if it, like elimination style. Mm-hmm. They'll trot him out there. But let's just, for the sake of the combo, say Dame's not right. I mean, I think 2 things could be over here. I think Dame, as we know it, his career could kind of be over, or at least back end. Like, he plays out many more years, and it just fades to black.
Yeah.
Or Giannis is done in Milwaukee. I think this Dame thing has a lot of repercussions here, Tay. How do you see it playing out?
It definitely does. I see it playing out how every single guy who comes into the playoffs, who's hurt, and they're going to miss the start, and they might.
He's older.
But we've seen it with Kawhi. We've seen it with Jared Allen before. We've seen it with with Giannis. You know what I mean? Last year. And so it's one of those things where, they're going to come back, and then they try to come back, and they're not the version of themselves.
Right.
And their team loses. Or it's one of those situations where the Pacers go up 2-0 because they're at home for the first two games.
Yep.
And then they're sitting there and they're looking, and they're like, do we want to bring Dame back? Yeah. And then they come out of Milwaukee down 3-1, and they're like, no point. Dame, take the summer off. Be ready for next year, right? That's kind of, unfortunately, how I see this playing out.
Well, listen, then Giannis is getting out of there. I'm just telling you. I think we'll leave it here. Last prediction. I'm going to go Giannis heroics, Bucks in 7, whether Dame comes back or not. For the record, you're going Pacers in what, 6?
Pacers in 6, dog. Pacers in 6. I'll give Giannis 2 games. 4 games is crazy. Four games is crazy.
Hey, he can. I'm not saying he's Steph, but he's much better at shooting threes now. You can't necessarily just use that strategy anymore. He can hit threes. I'm just saying. Not saying he's Steph.
Hey, we're going to find out. I can guarantee you that. We are going to find out.
We're going to learn today. Hey, when we come back, we'll talk about the S show that is the Phoenix Suns. Want the latest on the Patriots and the NFL? We'll tell you what Mike Vrabel and the Pats should do with the 4th pick in the upcoming NFL draft on Nesson's football podcast, Foxborough Rush. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, Tay, let's get into this Phoenix Suns situation. I want to go a couple different directions here. Okay. Let's start with the head coach. Mike Budenholzer was fired. Yep. So this is from Shams earlier in the week. The Suns have fired head coach Mike Budenholzer after finishing in 11th place with a 36-46 record in this one season. So I liked Bud. I thought when they hired him, it was a lot of weight on his shoulders, but that's what happens. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to cry over that. But I thought to myself, it's not a coaching thing. It's a fit thing with your players. I don't think Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal work.
You did. You said this. You were right.
You
were right about this. Yeah.
I don't even want to be right. It's so commonsensical. Mm-hmm. Well, here we go now. It didn't work.
Yep.
This team failed to even get into a play-in scenario, and you get rid of the coach yet again. 3rd time, 3 straight seasons, they've got rid of the coach. That's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Bud's fault. I think he will find another job, maybe not as quickly as Mike Malone, but if Mike Malone finds a job in 5 minutes, I think Bud will find one in 10. He's right behind him. He's the next coach I would look at if I was hiring, in that order. So I don't blame him. I thought he got a raw deal in Phoenix. I think the fit of the players is the problem. You're stuck with an albatross of a contract from Bradley Beal, and he's not going anywhere. He has a no-trade clause. He's like, I want all my money. Devin Booker, I've sold my stock on him. I'm sorry. I don't think he can be the best player on a championship team. And he's kind of proven it to me. He had a chance to do it in finals. He didn't get it done. Mm-hmm. And then, since then, all he's done is get hurt. And then when I do get him healthy, it's like he defers to these other guys. I thought there were people saying he has Mamba mentality 5 years ago. No, he doesn't. He defers too much. Ooh. Kevin Durant, I still like.
Yeah.
He still has a lot of tread on the tires, but he's old, and he's also just kind of aloof. He's just like, look, I don't want to be what you guys are ordaining Devin Booker. He doesn't want to be the leader.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. They're a mess. Mm-hmm. So we'll get to Durant in a minute. Do you agree with my read on firing Bud was the wrong move? They put all the blame on him.
Yeah, I mean, I love James Jones. I think he's a good general manager. I think he's done a lot with a little over there in Phoenix, right? Because when he got the job, it was just D-Book and nothing else, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's done a fantastic job in that aspect of acquiring talent, right?
Yeah.
You said the pieces haven't fit. That's fair. I understand that. What I don't understand is why the Suns continue to fire head coach year after year after year. They are now paying 3 head coaches to not coach the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, my God.
Mike Budenholzer will be making $10 million a year through 2029, Travis.
Bro.
2029.
That's insane.
And I know Matt Ishbia has a ton of bread. He's fit. His pockets are fat. He doesn't care about that $10 million a year. But at the end of the day, this just shows that you're building bad culture.
That's right.
You need to figure out the culture thing as a whole. If people are complaining about Budenholzer, who's an NBA championship winning head coach,
respected,
right?
Everything.
Then there's a problem with the guys that you have in the building.
That's right.
So you're right. But we're gonna see KD at some point leave the coop.
Yep.
Booker probably at some point leaves the coop. Right.
Oh.
Beal, they're gonna rebuild around Booker now. Beal, they're gonna figure out a way to get him out of here this summer as well. Right. But it's one thing to say, all right, this coach didn't work. We tried it. We knew we had a championship team. All right, it didn't work. We're going to do it again next year. All right, it didn't work. But when you do this a third time, firing a coach after one season,
right?
It's you. It's not the coach. It's you.
Right. That's right.
So figure it out.
Right. It's like being married 3 times. It's like at some point,
right?
What are we doing?
Right.
All right, so let's get to Kevin Durant because we brought his name up a bunch of times.
Yeah. Oh, wait, before we get up to Kevin Durant, I just want you to know, did you see that statement that the Suns put out? The disrespectful statement?
I'm sure they botched that too.
Yeah,
here it is.
Here's the statement that the Suns put out.
The Phoenix Suns announced today that the organization has relieved head coach Mike Budenholzer of his duties. The Suns released the following statement. Competing at the highest level remains our goal, and we failed to meet expectations this season. Our fans deserve
better. I think it's supposed to say better. Sorry about that.
Well, even the Suns botched that. Our fans deserve what?
All right, now let's talk KD. All right, so here's the tweet about KD.
All right, so the Suns are reportedly planning to work with Kevin Durant and his business partner to explore potential trade destinations. This is from Shams. So, okay, well, let's play matchmaker.
All right.
So we have a handful of names. Thunder, Rockets, Wolves, Knicks, Heat, Spurs. And then you can also do a write-in vote, right?
Yeah, if you want
so let's talk through these together.
Yep.
I'll just give you, because you know where I'm going.
Yeah. Wait, we're going in order to start, all right? We're going
so you want to go least to first or first to?
No, in order of how they're written right there in front of you.
Okay, got you. All
so
right,
we're starting out with the Thunder. All right.
Okay, all right.
How? Where would you rank this? What would you say? Percentages? You want to do percentages?
No,
you want to do
I'll
1 through 10?
I have them second on my rankings.
You don't have to rank it. I'm just saying, like, you want to say.
I got them second.
How much do you like this move for him to be on the Thunder?
I like
Would you give this a 1, like you hate it, or a 10? No, this is the greatest thing ever.
I think it's a really good move. He fills a couple needs. I think leadership wise, veteran. I'm not saying he doesn't want to be the captain of the ship per se, but he's still a good leader. Okay. He gets along with guys. He's a good locker room dude. He's not like a me type where it's going to distract or take away from other guys. SGA can shine. Durant's not going to trip. Chet can shine. Durant's not going to trip.
Yeah.
There's no bad blood, it seems, between the organization and him.
Yeah.
It just felt like he outgrew it and he wanted to leave, which is fine. No shame in that. LeBron did the same thing and came back home. Now, I get it. He's from that area and Durant's not.
Right.
But still, it happens all the time in the NBA. We saw Wade go to Chicago. Like, these things happen. I think Durant, in terms of where his NBA career began, it began there. I think Durant could go back home in that sense.
All right, so put it on the scale, 1 to 10.
Well, so I ranked teams. So I did.
Forget your ranking. I don't care about your ranking.
Well, listen, out of the 6 teams we said, Thunder, Rockets, Wolves, Knicks, Heat, and Spurs, they're the second team I think would be the best fit for him.
Okay, fine. I'm going to say that I think this is probably like a 9 on the scale. I'm going to give it a 9 just because I agree. A lot of things that you said. He's going to go there. He's going to let SGA be SGA. He's going to let Chet be Chet. He's going to take his buckets when he gets them. And he fits in defensively and offensively with this team. Another elite, rim protector, as we saw what he did with the Warriors. He can be that kind of guy. He would do that for them as well. He slides his feet. He facilitates. He doesn't care about who gets the credit or the awards. This is a great fit for him, but I'm going to give it a 9.
And they just could use him. At this stage of his career, I actually think this move would probably be the best move for his legacy.
Okay.
You know, I mean, leaving people still.
People are going to say what they have to say about it. They're the number one team in the NBA. If he goes over here, it's going to be like how he went to the Warriors. They had 68 wins.
That's where I disagree. I actually think him going to the Thunder at this stage of his career, people won't look at it like he's front running. I think people will look at it like it's a great fit. They need what he brings at this stage of his career. And also, I think there's so much turbulence legacy-wise. Going to the Warriors when he did in his prime, leaving the Warriors prematurely, having an opportunity this season to go back to Golden State and say no. I know a lot of people were like, myself included, and I believe you were like, what the hell are you doing? So I think the Thunder, I actually think it would be a feel-good story. I don't think people would look at it the same way as they did when he went to Golden State.
Fair. All right.
Now I can't wait to get to my number one team.
All right, let's talk about the Rockets.
The Rockets.
All right, let's see.
Now this is where you need to go, Kevin Durant. I hope you watch this program. This is a perfect place for you, sir. They need everything you bring to the table, dog. They need scoring. They need veteran leadership. They need someone who's not going to come in and reinvent the wheel and rock the boat. Ime's done a great job of making these young kids believe in defense and toughness and us, not we and me. Yeah. We're a team. He's done a great job of that. So sometimes you can get a little overzealous. You can go get a star that can score a lot of buckets. I'm just throwing a name out like a Zion. Zion's not going to work in Houston.
Yeah.
First of all, there's too many distractions. Secondly, he's going to come in and make it all about himself. It's also a great food city. Those are all bad fits. Kevin Durant, however, he can come in, he can score, he's not going to rock the boat, he's not easily distracted, and he's going to get with the program.
Yeah.
This is what they need. This is the number one team that Kevin Durant needs to go to.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go...
They're Kevin Durant away from a title.
I'm going to go 8.9. And the only reason I'm going to go a little bit under what I gave the Thunder is because I think this team has some issues with guys who think they're the man, but they're not.
Ooh.
And if Kevin Durant comes in on that team, he for sure is the man. On the Thunder, right, it's after SGA, 100%.
Yes, he is the man.
With the Rockets, he's the man. And
absolutely.
I think some people are going to have some issues with that. And I think that could cause a dynamic similar to what we had here in Boston with Jason Tatum and Kyrie and
like
who's the guy, right?
For the young
and
guys.
Gordon Hayward, who's the guy? Yeah, they're trying to prove that they're the guy, but Kevin Durant already is the guy. So that's why I'm just going to go 8.9, right. But I agree with a lot of the other things you said. All right, what about the Timberwolves?
Okay, so this was my fourth ranked team out of 6. And that's kind of a low ranking, but I don't hate the fit. I'm glad you used this picture because you know where I'm going. Ant Edwards loves Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant loves Ant Edwards. I think at this stage of his career, Durant and Edwards work. Yeah. I think Durant would absolutely defer to Ant Edwards. And to be honest, I think you would have to at this point. So I believe it could work. My issue here, which is why I love him with the Rockets, is I think the Timberwolves don't necessarily need a Kevin Durant, which I know is crazy to say. I think you need to kind of build around Ant, and I don't know if Kevin Durant is that. You need players that can complement Ant's skill set. You could give him some shooters. Again, it sounds nuts because Kevin Durant can shoot, obviously. Right. But I just think there are certain ways to build around Ant's dynamic playmaking, and I don't think Kevin Durant is it. So it could work. It would be a good fit. I think they would get along. It would look much better than the Phoenix experience does. Yeah. But I don't necessarily believe it would be enough to get Minnesota over the hump. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think this one is like an 8.6 for me.
That's high.
I still like this one actually a lot, just because I like the dynamic of Ant and KD. I think it's a little bit different than the dynamic of Devin Booker and KD.
Yes.
And also the fact that they wouldn't have a Bradley Beal there, like you said.
Yeah.
The thing that I think makes this work is that if this happened, I think Julius Randle would have to be out. And I don't think the fit there has been perfect. It's been a little awkward. It's been a lot better lately.
Sure.
Second half of the season, it's been a lot better. But it's one of those things where they need an extra piece. They need a point guard. They need a real point guard. With this team to set these guys up. A guy who's not worried about scoring. A guy who's strictly, hey, These are the two guys. We're feeding them. I'm playing defense. I hit the shot when I need to hit the shot.
Okay.
That's why I give this one an 8.6 because it needs a little bit something extra for them to be a championship contender.
Lowry's.
But yeah, it's an 8.6 for me.
All right, Knicks. This was my second to last in terms of rankings of teams where I think he should go.
Yeah.
He does feel the need of dependability for the Knicks. I just think with injuries and they kind of run out of gas towards the end of the season, this is a guy who I don't think would break down, and I think he would be there. He's very consistent. He's very dependable, and they need that. But I just think that Kevin Durant in the Big Apple, it's got a sour taste, bro. I think I'm done with that. But I know he appreciates the Knicks organization. It could work, but I'm not buying it. So I like the other teams better. I have them 5 out of 6.
I wouldn't even put them 5 out of 6. I like this 0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. Tom Thibodeau. Now, I have to give the Knicks credit because they've gotten some kind of doctor in there, and they've actually been one of the healthiest teams throughout the season as far as like the players who plays minutes and all that other stuff.
They changed trainers. I think.
Mikal Bridges even continued his streak of playing every single game, but that's just who he is. He's an Iron Man.
He is.
But I still don't. That's 1 year sample size. 1 year sample size. I do not trust Tom Thibodeau to keep a guy like Kevin Durant who's had injuries, especially wear and tear injuries, like an Achilles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Throughout his career, I'm not trusting that at all, and that's the reason that I'm gonna give this one a 0. So I'm gonna say I don't really like this.
Miami Heat. I have him 3rd behind Houston and OKC.
Yeah.
He fills the need of a few things: scoring, leadership. We talk about, and you talk about. Coaching matches.
Yeah.
He matches with Spoelstra and Riley for that matter. I'm sure they both have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
I just don't think they'd win anything. I think like the end of his career would be spent in Miami. He'd make some playoffs and he'd go out in a blaze of glory, making playoffs on a really good franchise.
Yeah.
But I don't, outside of that, I don't think it's the best fit you ever seen. I don't think he can win in Miami, but it's a decent fit.
Yeah, it's like a 4 or 5 for me. I don't like it that much either for the same reasons that you're talking about. I just think like they need more star power. I don't think Tyler Hero and Bam and KD would be the answer. You know what I mean?
They wouldn't win anything.
Yeah, I just don't think they have enough. While Heat culture is great, also I just think KD doesn't really fit with Heat culture. He's more of a relaxed kind of guy. He doesn't want all. He's a basketball head. That part of Heat culture, yeah. But as far as like you got to do this way, he's not that kind of guy, right? So that's why I'm gonna say like a 4 on this one.
All right,
last one, San Antonio Spurs. I know you love this one.
No, I don't. This was my last ranked out of the 6 teams.
Wow.
I just think they have too many dogs already. Wemby, Castle, Fox, Cooper Flag, question mark. Just have too many. It's just like, look, they're undergoing a transition, I think, coaching-wise. I just don't think it's a great fit. It feels very fantasy basketball. But that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And look, Durant still has a lot left in the tank.
Yeah.
If Durant was washed and ring chasing, I'd get it.
Yep.
But that's not what he's doing. He's still trying to hoop.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Spurs works. I actually feel the way about the Spurs that you did about the Knicks. It's a nothing burger for me.
I don't have any updates on Wemby. If Wemby is available, I like this a lot more. I do.
Okay, that's fair.
I would put it I would probably put it in that 7 range, so above those, just below those other 3 teams that we talked about at the beginning. But I would probably not put it as low as that, as the team that you had, just because I think that Wemby and KD would be a team that would make the playoffs and have a lot of noise and have some fun to it, but it would just be fun. Not a real championship contender as those other top 3 teams, the Timberwolves, Rockets, and Thunders, that I think they would be.
All right, let's put a bow on it. I think the Rockets is the best fit. It sounds like you think the Thunder.
Yeah, I think I'm going to roll with the Thunder.
Okay.
It just makes the most sense.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Will we agree on that?
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what he wants to do.
I can agree with that.
If he's over OKC, then go to H-Town.
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
Yeah.
Stream the entire Red Sox season with a NESN 360 annual plan. It's available at an all-new reduced price of $20 a month paid annually. For a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. All right, we're on the heels of the WNBA draft. I thought the Sun did a really good job in the first round.
Yeah.
I really did. I mean, I thought Morrow from LSU, what I like about her, she's going to come in right away, and overnight, you're better at rebounding and defense, just like that. So I'll take that, especially in their situation where they're rebuilding, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And then I like Sanaya Rivers from NC State as well. She fills the box score. That's why I like she's versatile.
Yeah.
She can score, she can rebound, assist. So I feel like they got two players that got dog in them and can do a lot of a multitude of different things, which is clearly what the Sun need at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I love exactly what you said. Moral, the thing about her is her rebounding is the best in the class.
Game.
She's the best rebounder in the class. She can shoot the three. She can create her own shot. Rivers, one of those players who needs to develop her shot.
Yes.
But she can be a monster on
can
both
do everything.
ends. She can kind of fill in that Dejanay Carrington kind of role.
Yes.
That person who can come in, change the game defensively, has some facilitating prowess.
That's right.
She'll probably end up tracking as a point guard, and Morrow will probably do some of the things that Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner did for that team.
Yep.
Obviously, these two rookies cannot do what Dejanay did, what DeWanna Bonner did, what Alyssa Thomas did.
Yeah.
But they can start to build towards something
Absolutely.
because this is obviously kind of a rebuild period for the Sun. So I agree with you. I love that. I love what the Mystics did, though. I'm shouting out your hometown.
Yeah, bro.
Sonia Citron.
Yeah.
She's a perimeter shooter.
Yeah.
Facilitator. Defensive stopper. What more can you ask for her? She can plug and play any way that they need her to.
Yep.
Kiki Irfin, who I've been high on since the beginning of this college basketball season until now. She's a versatile scorer. She can shoot it out to 15 feet. She needs to extend her range out to 3, but that'll come. I think that's tracking with the development and improvements that she's made over her career, starting at Stanford and ending up at USC. And then paired with Aaliyah Edwards, this is going to be one of the better young front courts in the league now that they are going to be together, and they're just going to be out rebounding everybody because this is one of the worst rebounding teams in the not even one of the worst rebounding team in the WNBA last year. So that was a huge add. And then lastly, Georgia Moore, has shooting range. She's a little smaller, but she can create her own shot. She's elite, probably the best passer, playmaker in the entire draft. True point guard. One of the knocks that she has is her size. Will she be able to guard the more bigger physical guards in the league? We're gonna find out, but I can tell you one thing: she's gonna score that basketball, and she's gonna find her teammates open. And like you said, she's tough. Westbrook gave her the nod of approval. He made her outfit for the WNBA draft. If a guy as tough as Russell Westbrook likes her, then you know she has some tough nails in her as well.
Facts. Hey, how about that? Sun and Mystics, both rebuilding, both had really good drafts.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it for us here on Hold My Banner. For Ante Campbell and Travis Thomas, D Brown next on the next Hold My Banner. Check that out. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Deuces.